7th round pick. But in terms of what he can do in the NFL, I think that he's a developmental pick, and I think that he'll serve as a backup, second or third string for a few years. And if he keeps making progress, who knows what can happen in the future.
Yeah, and I think the Indianapolis Colts proved that you don't need mobility at quarterback, and someone will still give you a chance. After playing Phillip Rivers yesterday, what the hell was that? I am all for it because it's a crazy story, but 44-year-old man hasn't played in the NFL in 5 years, wasn't great 5 years ago, comes in and has himself a not terrible game. He did not look good throwing the ball at all, in my opinion, but hey, he didn't make mistakes. So, Ethan, if you want to make it to the league, just tone down the mistakes. That's all we ask of you. Now, that is it for the PFF big board of players that are in line to get drafted. That doesn't mean that Gus Zilinskas, that Eric O'Neill, that DT Sheffield won't get drafted or won't be in the NFL. That's just based on the projections that are currently there.
Yeah, and I think, when we're talking about Ethan, it's similar to how we were talking about Ian Strong. I just don't know if they're ready yet. And I know, of course, Ethan doesn't have any eligibility. But I think that in terms of projections, a team is going to have to look at Ethan and say, look, he has those intangibles. He has, strengths in terms of, his accuracy, his completion percentage. But where the rubber is going to meet the road is, can he adjust to the NFL? And here's the issue. Just like Ian Strong and KJ Duff, with Ethan, they didn't perform well against elite competition in the Big Ten. And I think
KJ Duff did.
I mean, did he really against Ohio State? I don't think so. I mean, he was.
Yeah, no one did, though, against Ohio. I mean, Ohio State, I only mentioned them because they're the top in the top two of defenses like Oregon and Ohio State. That was our top two defenses faced. But to me, Ohio State is just such an asterisk for facing them on their defense because they, I believe, had the third fewest points per game in FBS history.
Yeah, that's true. But again, I just do wonder how NFL scouts are going to look at the fact that against the league competition, they did struggle. Now, let's be fair to Ethan, though. I mean, he's not just playing Ohio State himself. He's got an offensive line that struggled and receivers that weren't getting separation. So that'll be taken into account. At the end of the day, I really, really like him. I think he's a really great person. I mean, I really do. I mean, he really played his heart out against Penn State. And, when he dropped the football when they were driving, hopefully to make it a 2-score lead, the reporters asked Greg Schiano, what did you say to Ethan? He said, I told him I loved him. And that's really something.
So sweet.
It is. Because
it makes me respect Schiano so much more.
Yeah, it does make me respect Schiano. I always have. But I'll tell you, that's how special Ethan was to Rutgers. Yeah, he made a mistake, but there was no criticism coming his way because he had put his heart and soul into that team. And for that, I know Rutgers fans will always be grateful, and I certainly wish him the best and hope he succeeds in the NFL.
Yeah, that's enough to make a grown man cry right there.
Yeah.
So, yeah, that's it for those two. Now, we got some news about a particular thing that goes on this time of year that is pretty frequent, and that is players announcing they are hitting the transfer portal. And the most vital position, the quarterback. So we got some options here. Would you like to announce each one? I know we have 4 that hit the portal in the past 24 hours that are of worthy.
Yeah, this is a really interesting topic because, with Ethan leaving, the presumption is going to be that A.J. Sarace, who performed extremely well in the spring game and was capable in the time that he was put in there, is going to be the starting quarterback next year. But I don't think that that's something that we should just assume automatically because we want competition at the position and we want to get the best players we can at each position. So having said that, we've got some people who have entered the transfer portal that have some talent. And that begins with Nebraska and Dylan Raiola leaving the Cornhuskers. He's on. Yeah, and then the Florida Gators, DJ Lagway, who showed so much promise last year, regressed this year. He's also on the market. And can't forget Michigan State's Aiden Childs, who showed promise too and has some mobility. So does Rutgers have a chance at these 3? Should Greg Schiano be interested? Can they challenge AJ for the starting position? And who will be at the helm next year? What do you think?
Well, funny enough, so first off, DJ Lagway, I've been harping on him all year, and most of it's been, jokes, but I did mean that I thought that Ethan was better than him. I don't think that he even touches Piscataway campus for a visit. And that is because he has a certain coach that just got hired in Louisiana at LSU. We're already recruiting him. And when you have Lane Kiffin recruiting you, even if his PR did take a little bit of a hit because of how he handled leaving Ole Miss, you don't look at a team towards the bottom half of the Big Ten. So I don't think that DJ Lagway even thinks about Rutgers. And in turn, I don't think that he would be the best option for us next year at quarterback anyways.
Yeah, I don't think that DJ Lagway from Florida or Dylan Raiola from Nebraska, I don't think they're going to go to Rutgers. I think that they would see it as a step down from the teams that they were in. I think the whole purpose of being in the portal is, number one, they want to be on a team that's going to win. Number two, they want to be on a team that they're going to get developed, they're going to play, they're going to increase their draft stock. So what does that mean? Well, when you talk about LSU, Garrett Nussmeier, he regressed this year, and his backup, Michael Van Buren, was average. He was a mobile quarterback, but certainly was not spectacular. So there's an opening at LSU for a number one quarterback. Now, do you think Lane Kiffin is going to look at Raiola and Lagway and say, I want to get them for my number one guy? I don't think so. I don't think they're going to land at LSU. I think they're going to land I think Raiola is going to go to another Big Ten program. I also think Lagway could possibly go to a school like Arizona State or somewhere out west. I think Lagway has great potential, but he did regress this year, and he needs to be in a program where he's going to develop. But I don't think he's going to be successful in the SEC or in the Big Ten. So I could see him going to a Big 12 school. Now, as far as Aiden Childs is the one outside shot we have in terms of recruiting a transfer because he's at Michigan State, not a great program. He has raw talent, but still needs some development. And he could probably succeed at Rutgers. And I don't know if Aiden Childs is going to get recruited by the kind of teams that Raiola and Lagway will. So I do think there's an outside chance for Aiden at Rutgers, but we're going to have to pay him some money and really recruit him hard. Otherwise, he'll probably go to another Big 10 or a Big 12 school. But we're in the running for Aiden Childs. We're not in the running for the Lagway and Raiola.
Well, Sean thinks that I should hit the portal too and get out of New Jersey and eating the pasta. Maybe getting away from Rutgers Voice of College Football or joining another Voice of College Football. But no, I'm very happy here. And one other guy I do think would be very happy here, not DJ Lagway. And speaking of DJ Lagway, that was part of the big reason that Florida was trying to so hard put Lane Kiffin in their prospects, or not their prospect, their vision for the future, trying to sell him on it was because of DJ Lagway. But that didn't happen. And now I think Lane Kiffin is in turn saying, hey, maybe you can come here. Now, he did have a bad year, but everybody knows that he was a very good raw prospect coming out of high school. You're right. Aiden Childs would 100% be a very nice, realistic option for us. And Rutgers is a step up from Michigan State in terms of past few years, how they've each been performing. I'm not ruling out Mr. Dylan Ravioli, man, because I think that if there's any way you want to insert yourself as a serious team, not just on the field, but off of it, you throw all your money at a guy who already has a ton of clout because of his Patrick Mahomes physical look comparison. And he's not too bad of a quarterback. Now, I have been very critical of him, mostly joking, of course, but he does have, I believe it is 18 touchdowns. Yeah, 18 touchdowns, 6 interceptions, which is a drastic improvement from 13 and 11 the year prior. His rating went from 130 to 158.6. I feel like I don't really need to sell his talent, but what I do want to do is say that it does sort of make sense that a guy who has the swagger, he likes embracing being the focal point of a team, why not bring him to the Northeast where everybody scrutinizes and he doesn't mind scrutinization? He's willingly put himself in the limelight. And I feel like it would be a good fit. I also feel like our rivals to the southwest of us in State College, Pennsylvania, might try to take a gander at him. But I do think that Dylan Raiola, if he were to consider us, it's sort of be like what we saw out of Jared Smith when it was between us, Georgia Tech, and Auburn. And everyone's like, why is Rutgers in the mix? Well, there's a certain reason Rutgers is in the mix, and therefore I'm happy about it, because if we're not being taken seriously, we're not in someone's Final Four with those elite teams. I think as long as Raiola considers us, there's a way we can sell it to him to come to Piscataway. So obviously, Aiden Childs, great quarterback, and I would love to get him. But if it comes down to it, I would certainly go all in on Dylan Raiola. And if we don't get Dylan Raiola, I would love Drew Testamaker too, who hasn't declared, portal or anything like that. But out of North Texas, he had a phenomenal year, and he's going to have some teams throwing him some offers. I believe he just finished his freshman year. If we don't get Raiola, which I would assume we don't, because that's just a shot in the dark, and we don't get Aiden Childs either, and we don't get Drew Testamaker, I would be okay with now Zane Flores out of Oklahoma State. He had a rough year, but what I do like is that he had 59% completion percentage, and that's higher than Ethan had up until this past year. And his touchdown to interception ratio, that can be fixed with good coaching, which we have in Kirk Shiroka and we have in Greg Schiano. I don't think that Zane Flores would be number one. I would give that to Suris, but Zane Flores would be a pretty solid quarterback too.
Yeah, and the thing about the transfers is this. If we bring in a transfer quarterback, we're bringing them in to start. And I think A.J. Suris will transfer. I don't think he's going to spend another year as a backup. But when it comes to Raiola, two things I think would dictate the decision. Number one, how much are we paying him? And number two, Ian Strong and KJ Duff, because he's not going to transfer to a school unless he looks at the roster, the wideouts especially, and says, these receivers can make me a star. If Ian Strong or KJ Duff leaves, he's not going to come here because he's not going to think he has the wideouts to assist him. So I would say at this point,
Black is a damn good receiver too.
He is, but I think that for Raiola to make a transfer to Rutgers, which was 5-7 this year, he's going to feel like I want financial security and I want 2 or 3 wideouts that are going to enable me to be at the top of the Big Ten in passing. So I just think there's too much uncertainty.
You don't think that if Ian declares for the draft, but we throw a boatload of money at KJ Duff to stay, you don't think that his catch against Penn State, his numbers all year being all Big Ten is enough for Dylan Raiola to see him and say, there's a legitimate future NFL Pro Bowl wide receiver I can throw to?
No, I don't think it's enough. I think he wants to see more depth and he wants to see more targets, especially he knows the competition in the Big Ten. We're going against elite teams. KJ Duff is not enough. We need 3, even 4 receivers that are going to give him options. And I just don't think at this point, I just don't see Raiola either getting the money and thinking that he can develop in the way that he wants to. I think he's going to go somewhere else.
I'm curious what we do at tight end with Kenny Fletcher and Colin Weber gone now. And Kenny, I don't think Kenny's getting drafted, but I think he could be a future tight end 2 or 3, possibly tight end 1 if players.
I thought it was, I agree with that. I don't know who we're going to get at tight end, and that'll be part of our final segment, which is about the 3 things that are critical to do in the offseason. But in terms of my guess is going to be that Schiano is not going to go for a quarterback. I think he's going to stay with A.J. Suris. I haven't seen enough of A.J. Suris to know what we are likely to see. But what concerns me is that next year we'll be starting a quarterback who's never started before and potentially with a wide receiving core that's depleted due to either transferring or going to the NFL. And I think that could be a problem. And God forbid Antoine Raymond leaves. That could be
Yeah,
trouble.
we already lost Samuel Brown. We lost C.J. Campbell. So it would I don't know. I mean, running back's a weird position. Would you go out and get someone, or would you stick with Deshaun Benjamin?
I think he should go out and get more depth at running back, and I think he's probably
But
not.
we could also have Mike Dukes coming in next year. Could be RB2. He's best running back in Michigan.
Yeah, I mean that's certainly true, but I would like to see someone with at least college level experience. And I don't think going after a quarterback is wise because there's too many uncertainties with Rutgers on offense.
Well, we went after Athan.
Well, and that's true, but you know what? Athan was a quarterback at Minnesota. So he wasn't Dylan Raiola at that time. He wasn't DJ Lagway at that time. So I think that there was a reasonable probability of getting him and of him being useful to the team.
You know what would be funny?
Yeah.
What if we went and got Drake Lindsay?
Drake, I don't even know who Drake Lindsay is. That's
the guy. He's the guy who torched us when we faced Minnesota.
Oh, he was a Minnesota quarterback?
Yeah, he was the one he was a freshman quarterback, and we made him look like a damn Heisman winner.
Especially in the fourth quarter.
Wouldn't that be funny if we took another Minnesota quarterback?
That would be.
I don't think he would leave, though. I honestly think that they honestly have a good program going now.
Yeah, I don't think he would leave. I just don't think he's going to get a quarterback because the quarterbacks that would want to come here would not be any better than Surace because our offensive pieces are uncertain, and I don't think we have the NIL to get Lagway or Raiola. So it's probably going to be AJ Surace next year.
Aiden Childs wouldn't be a terrible transition.
I like that call. Yes.
In between Athan and AJ Surace, a year of Childs would not be terrible. I don't think that AJ Surace would automatically leave if we got a transfer senior. If we got a transfer sophomore or junior, yeah, probably. But I don't think a transfer senior would be the final straw for him to leave us.
That's a good point, and you might be right about that. And I think Aiden Childs brings a new dimension to the offense that Athan didn't. And I think with his mobility, it would be nice to have a mobile quarterback at Rutgers who could also throw.
I mean, he doesn't have the arm that Athan did, but like you said,
right.
It's dynamic.
But again, when I think about the quarterback position, I think there's so many uncertain pieces on offense. The offensive line has to improve. We're going to probably lose Ian Strong. What quarterback is going to want to come to Rutgers given their performance the last couple of years and what I think is going to be a lack of depth in the wide receiving room? I think it's probably going to end up with AJ, but our best transfer shot would be Aiden Childs.
Yeah, 100%. I'm looking at Aiden Childs' game log right now, and it wasn't on a game-to-game basis. It seems like he slumped a little bit in the middle of the year between. I want to say between, like, what the hell is YSU? Is that Youngstown?
Washington State University?
No, yeah, Youngstown State.
YSU, Youngstown State.
Yeah, so he didn't have the sexiest of numbers between then and UCLA, but that Indiana game, the second to last game of the year for him, he did play really well, 27 of 33 against a team that held Ohio State to 10 points. He had 243 yards. They had 13 points. He had a touchdown, no interceptions. He only had 3 interceptions all year. 2 of them came in the same game against Nebraska. That was probably his worst game, but even then he had 2 rushing touchdowns. You want to hear an interesting stat line? His last game of the year against Michigan, he had 15 carries for -7 yards and a touchdown.
-7 yards and a touchdown. That must have meant he got sacked 4 times.
I guess so. He had against Indiana, he had a 64-yard run, which you don't see quarterbacks break open too much.
Not against Indiana. What's his touchdown interception ratio?
10. It's 10-3. So that's a pretty good ratio. I mean, look, we're talking about Dylan Raiola, Athan. They're both less than that.
Yeah, I think Raiola is going to go to Indiana. I think he's going to replace Fernando.
I hate to say it, but my call for Raiola is Penn State. I mean, they lost to them pretty badly, and he wasn't playing, so he got a chance to look back and see a team that went through a lot of adversity, and all of a sudden they're back on the rise.
I think Ethan Grunkmeyer is going to start for Penn State. What I saw from him in the game against Rutgers is he's legit. But you might be right.
He is legit, but everyone's legit against us. And so, yeah, that's it for the quarterbacks. And I want to hear what you guys have to say. Who do you think? Do you think it's going to be AJ Sarace? Maybe a Johnny Shepard comes back. Who do you think is going to be starting for Greg Schiano and this Rutgers offense next year? Let us know.
Yeah, guys, feel free to call in because we don't have all the answers, but we do ask the right questions. So, call in, let us know what you think.